Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to call to order this regularly scheduled meeting of the Committee of the Whole for Wednesday, June 19th. My name is Philippe Cunningham, and I'm the Vice Chair of this committee. With me at the dais are Council Members Johnson, Goodman, Ellison, Schroeder, Council President Bender, Council Member Fletcher, and Council Member Cano. Please let the record reflect that we have a quorum of the committee and can conduct business. Well, we don't need to actually conduct any business, because the only business before us today is the receipt of the reports from the standing committees, and that will be considered by the full council on Friday. We will begin with the report from the Economic Development and Regulatory Services Committee, given by its chair, Councilmember Goodman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The EDRS committee is bringing 14 items forward for approval on Friday. Item number 1 is a bond issuance through the MCDA operating committee, so there will be an operating committee meeting on Friday as well. Items 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are all license applications, primarily dealing with either getting liquor or an expansion to premise. Item number 8 is a license revocation. Item number 9 are the regular license approvals, and 10 are the liquor license renewals, 11 are the gambling license renewals, 12 is a license settlement conference recommendation, as is 13, and item 4 are changes to some eligible providers for employment and training, allowing the employment and training staff to further those contracts. With that, I'm happy to answer questions on items 1 through 14.
Thank you, Councilmember Goodman. Are there any questions? All right, seeing none, moving on to the Enterprise Committee. The Enterprise Committee report, which will be given by its chair, Councilmember Palmisano.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At Enterprise Committee, we had 6 items that will be coming forward through council. The first is a contract with various suppliers for full-time employee recruitment services, meaning to help us recruit good full-time IT staff. It was amended, at Ways and Means to get the appropriate name of one of those companies. The second is a contract for subscription licenses for some software that we use across the enterprise. Item number 3 is with ProSci for change management certification services. Item number 4 is our CAMA system that has been a long time in coming from our assessor's office. Item number 5 is about hosting and support of the 311 app and extending that contract. And item number 6 came from the Audit Committee, and it was our way to try and get a handle on and understand across the enterprise how our 311 and particularly the mobile app is mapping to addresses in our city or not. So we have those 6 items, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Councilmember Palmisano. Are there any questions about the Enterprise Committee report? All right, seeing none. Next up, we have the Housing Policy and Development Committee, given by its chair, Councilmember Gordon. And thank you for joining us, Councilmember, and as well as Councilmember Warsame.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here. We'll be bringing forward 6 items on Friday. The first 3 are land sales. One of them went forward without a recommendation, and I just wanted to let folks know that my intention, after having staff review more of the details, is to move it forward with the original staff recommendation, which is approving the sale of the property to A-Vision LLC. The 4th item is a grant agreement with American Indian Community Development Corporation for acquisition of 1500 Elliott Avenue. The 5th item is approving some changes to our Home Ownership Works program guidelines to more closely align with goals of similar programs in the city and the 2040 Comprehensive Plan. There's some interesting and positive changes there. And the 6th item is authorizing a contract with Mid-Minnesota Legal Aid for representation to low-income Minneapolis tenants facing eviction. This was something that we put more money into at our budget last year. It's pretty exciting that we'll be providing up to $650,000 for a 2-year period to provide legal services to low-income Minneapolis tenants facing evictions. I'm happy to discuss any of those items and answer any questions.
Thank you, Councilmember Gordon. Could you actually say one more time why it was forwarded without recommendation? This is item number 2, right?
Yes.
I'm sorry, could you explain that one more time?
Yes, so during the public hearing, we heard from one of the people who put in the application, I guess, or responded to the land sale, that he'd clarified some of the issues and some of the problems that he had before. He didn't really provide all the necessary information. And so the staff agreed to take a second look at it and see how he would score now that they got some additional information at the last minute. And so they reviewed everything and still came back recommending the sale to A Vision LLC. And I can have Mr. Ramadan email you the details too, and we can talk offline about more specifics that I don't have in front of me right now.
That's fine. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Are there any other questions for Councilmember Gordon for the HPD committee report? All right, seeing none. Next up is the Public Health, Environment, Civil Rights, and Engagement Committee, given by the Vice Chair. The report will be given by the Vice Chair, Councilmember Gordon.
Thank you very much. The Public Health, Environment, and Civil Rights Engagement Committee is bringing forward 5 items. The first is accepting a grant from the Minnesota Department of Health in the amount of in excess of $1.7 million for a home visiting program. Second item is approving some council appointments to the Public Health Advisory Committee. Third item is accepting a smaller grant, this one of $10,000 from the Department of Health for work with contaminants, doing outreach and education. The fourth item is passage of a resolution recognizing regenerative agriculture and biochar as impactful climate action and resilient tools. And the final item is authorizing a contract or several contracts, one with Lake Street Council, another with Minnesota Peacebuilding Leadership Institute, another with Banyan Community, another with Juxtaposition Arts, another with Art is My Weapon, another with the Camden Promise, another with East Phillips Improvement Coalition. And these are all to work on violence prevention issues. And these are the outside of downtown grants. Happy to take any questions. That's my report.
Thank you, Councilmember Gordon. Just want to add that we had a presentation with an update from the process of operationalizing the Office of Violence Prevention, as well as a report from Cities United, which is the technical assistance consultant, with their recommendations on how for us to best be able to do that work. So advise my colleagues to take a look at that report. Next up, we have the report from the Public Safety and Emergency Management Committee, given by its chair, Councilmember Cano.
Thank you, Councilmember Cunningham. And the Public Safety and Emergency Management Committee brings forward 2 items today. Number 1 is an agreement between the Minneapolis Police Department and the Blaine Police Department for mutual aid during large-scale events. And item number 2 is a contract with Axon Enterprise, Inc. for purchase and storage of body-worn cameras, tasers, and CAD integration. I stand for any questions.
All right, are there any questions on the Public Safety and Emergency Management report? Seeing none, moving on, next is the report on the Transportation and Public Works Committee, given by Councilmember Fletcher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Transportation and Public Works Committee has 15 items to bring forward this week. Item number 1 is the 2019 alley renovation program. Item number 2 is passage of an ordinance amending the West Broadway Improvement Special Service District to prevent it from sunsetting. Items 3 and 4 are large block event permits for events that have already happened, so hope you were cool with those. Item number 5 is a large block event permit for something that we could actually have an impact on if we chose to. Item number 6 is an agreement with MWMO and the Park Board for design of a storm sewer system at the Columbia Golf Course. Item number 7 is a contract amendment with CDM Smith for an electrical rehabilitation project. Item number 8 is a contract amendment for additional services for Pump Station 7 construction project. Item number 9 and 10 are contract amendments around Nicollet Mall reconstruction projects. Item number 11 is for the Grand Avenue Street reconstruction project. Item number 12 is an access easement agreement for the Metro Green Line extension. Item number 13 is the Bicycle Advisory Committee revisions. Item number 14 is the Pedestrian Advisory Committee appointments. And item number 15 is the sidewalk snow and ice report and a staff direction associated with that.
Great. Thank you so much, Councilmember Fletcher. Are there any questions? All right. Seeing none, next up is the report from the Zoning and Planning Committee given by its chair, Councilmember Schroeder.
I'll defer to the Ways and Means Committee.
Thank you. I got excited. Next up is the Ways and Means Committee. Given its report will be given by Councilmember Warsame. My apologies.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Ways and Means Committee has 14 items to bring to the full council. Item number 1 is a local government amicus brief. Item number 2 and 3 are legal settlements. Item number 4 is a bid for the Minneapolis Convention Center's exhibitor services and first aid remodels project. Item number 5 is a contract amendment with Minnesota Department of Transportation for use of land under highway bridges. Item number 6 is a contract amendment with 310 Partners LLC for lease at the Flower Exchange Building. Item number 7 is a contract amendment with Clever Design for impound lot improvements project. Item number 8 is a contract amendment with 331 2nd Avenue South, Novel Co-working LLC for communications cable equipment. Item number 9 is a contract amendment with Adolphson and Peterson Construction for the East Side Storage and Maintenance Facility. Item number 10 is the plumber's salary schedule. Item number 11 is a grant from the city, and this is the financial organization, City Foundation, and Living Cities for the City Accelerator initiatives on inclusive procurement. Item number 12 is a bid for the Public Service Building Project casework and millwork. Item number 13 is a bid for the Public Service Building Project flooring. And the final item is a bid for the Public Service Buildings Project acoustic ceiling tile fabric wall panel. And I'll happily answer any questions on the agenda.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Warsame. Are there any questions about the Ways and Means report? All right, seeing none, now is the time for the report from the Zoning and Planning Committee given by its chair, Councilmember Schroeder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Zoning and Planning Committee will bring forward 7 items for approval this Friday. The first is the approval of an interim use permit at 4040 Washington and 4050 and a half Washington Avenue North. Number 2 is the approval of an interim use permit at 4530 Lindale Avenue South. The third is the approval of a rezoning at 1121 4th Street Southeast. The fourth is the approval of a rezoning at 1717 2nd Street Northeast. The fifth is the approval of a rezoning at 3025 East Calhoun Parkway. The sixth item is the approval of alley vacation for 2015, 2019, 2121 Cedar Avenue South, as well as 1820 and 1834 East 22nd Street. And the final one is the approval of a street vacation located at 27th Avenue South between 29th Street and Lake Street, and I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, Councilmember Schroeder. Are there any questions on the Zoning and Planning Committee report? All right, seeing none. Last up, we have the Audit Committee with its report given by Councilmember Palmisano.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At our Audit Committee, which is an independent committee of council, I just wanted to note we had the mayoral reappointment of Mr. David Fisher from the University of Minnesota's Law School, which is terrific that he's continuing to serve in this capacity. We had 3 full audit reports, official and published. The first was a grant management audit on how we do grant management through finance. The second report was a 311 in Public Works consult. And item number 3 was an equity in police recruiting analysis that was also a consult and had originally started by one of our step-up interns, I believe, last year in her work for the PCOC. So that was an interesting way that we've been able to use some of the work of our interns and bring them into other kinds of our efforts from a policy perspective. We formally added an audit of off-duty work with Minneapolis Police Department that will come back by this fall to our audit plan for 2019. And additionally, we saw some exceptional progress with follow-up on past open audit issues. And that's incredibly important because otherwise, what are we doing with these reports if we're not making the necessary changes once they're identified? So that's all I have, and I'm happy to answer questions.
Great, thank you so much, Councilmember Palmisano. Are there any questions on this item? All right, seeing none, thank you everybody for taking the time to go through all of the wonderful work that's going through your committees. And with nothing else before us, this committee is adjourned.